Well, it's that time again. We have a new super edition to look at today, folks. I know I said my next Simmy Speaks video would be on Hawkwing's journey, but since I just finished reading Tigerheart Shadow, I figured I'd talk about it now while it's still relevant. So Tigerheart Shadow has been looming over the fandom like its titular shadow implies, and fans weren't all too excited about it since it was announced. It seemed like a bizarre choice for a super edition. Who wants to read a whole super edition about Tigerheart, am I right? Tigerheart has never been one of the most popular characters, and after Omen of the Stars, he seems to have faded into the background quite a bit to make room for our new main characters. Plus, a super edition about Tigerheart could only mean one thing. This was going to be about his relationship with Duckling, and probably about their sin kittens. Joy. But I actually had some pretty high hopes for this book when I heard about it. I wouldn't call myself a Tigerheart fan or a Dove x Tiger shipper by any means, but with it being the whole focus of a super edition, maybe the ERINs could bring some new light to this rather shallow relationship and expand more on Tigerheart's character. And since Vision of Shadows and Hawkwing's Journey have been some of the best Warriors books in recent history, I wasn't dreading the book like many others. So now that it's out and I've finished reading it, I gotta say that it both met my expectations and let me down in a couple of spots. Overall though, I think Tigerheart Shadow is a good read and carries what will probably be some semi-important information for the upcoming Vision of Shadows books. Even if you don't care for Tigerheart or his relationship with Duckling, there's plenty here to get invested in, and it introduces some new characters that are simply fantastic. This is by no means my favorite super edition, but it does its job good enough filling in the gaps of what's likely going to be going on in Vision of Shadows. If you were hesitating to pick up this book, maybe try reading the preview online, which has the first 100 pages of the book. That should give you a pretty good idea of what to expect. One thing you'll notice right away when you start this book is that it depends on you already being familiar with everything going on in Vision of Shadows, which I'm guessing this book actually starts somewhere in the middle of Darkest Night, which hasn't come out yet, but since the ending of Darkest Night might have spoiled what happened in this super edition, they decided to release this one first. This is not like most super editions that you can pick up at any time and should definitely be read after you finish Shattered Sky. Now, for everyone else who's already read the book, let's get into spoiler territory. So I think Tigerheart Shadow can be split pretty easily into 3 acts. Tigerheart before he leaves Shadow Clan, Tigerheart trailing after Duckling and the time spent with the church cats, and then the journey back to Shadow Clan. This book's pacing is sort of slow. A lot of times it feels like something fillery is happening that will have no effect on the plot, only to surprise you when it actually does come back to be a little bit meaningful later, especially during Tigerheart's journey to find Duckling. Many of the situations Tigerheart found himself in, I felt sure that they were just filling in space to make the journey between Shadow Clan and the church feel long, so I was happy to see them come back during the final act of the book. But it also would have been nicer if these situations had just a bit more weight to them. Because while they do come back, they still aren't terribly important, so it still overall just kind of feels like a little bit of a waste of time, but it's still good stuff. One thing you'll notice right away with this super edition is the excessive use of prophecies and dreams used as plot devices. This has always been the case in Warriors, but this book takes it to a whole new level, which I suppose is fitting for a book focused on Tigerheart and Duckling, 2 characters from Omen of the Stars where nothing happened unless StarClan got involved. I wish the prophecies had been played down a bit, and our leads were shown to make decisions based on what they thought they should do, rather than what they thought StarClan was telling them to do. Duckling has a dream about a church she needs to go to raise her kits safely, and never wavers in her decision to go, but Tigerheart has doubts. He has doubts about whether he's needed more by Duckling or Shadow Clan, whether he's the shadow that will save his clan or the sun that will destroy it, whether he's made the right decision to leave or not, and so on and so on. Of course, this whole dilemma is part of the book's main theme, which is to learn to follow your heart instead of your head. StarClan constantly giving dreams for Tigerheart to follow, though, only serve to weaken his resolve and make it seem like he's just following orders rather than following his own convictions. This is really too bad because the ERINs have moments where Tigerheart does feel like the confident, calm-headed deputy soon to be ready to take his father's place as leader and have a strong moral backbone to do the right thing. But whenever StarClan starts giving out these prophecies left and right, Tigerheart is reduced to a simpleton, unsure of what his role is in all this, and never really making a decision for himself, or even placing his resolve in following StarClan no matter the outcome. And it just sort of weakens the heart over head theme that they're trying to go for. He just sort of reluctantly follows one dream after another, and it isn't until literally the last few chapters that Tigerheart finally gets bit in the ass for waffling. Tigerheart does have a nice resolution to this while he's dying, where he realizes that he's ready to continue living and fighting for his family and friends. Since this is on the last few pages of the book, though, it's sort of rushed, and I wish Tigerheart's conviction was at least half as strong as Dovewing's by the end of the book, but it's a step in the right direction. Speaking of Dovewing, I will say that while Tigerheart and Dovewing's relationship was still nowhere as developed as I hope it would be by the end of the book, I was loving Dovewing's determination to keep Tigerheart alive as they made their final trek back to the lake. It was a genuinely touching moment as Tigerheart's trying to say his goodbyes, and Dovewing's like, nope son, you're getting back to the lake, let's go. It was really sweet. Now with that out of the way, let's look at the other theme of this book. The only way to live a fulfilling life is to live as a warrior, obeying the warrior code. Oh boy. Okay, this is where this book kind of falls apart. Remember how I said that this book divides into 3 acts really well? That would probably be because of this thread of thought that starts in the 2nd act, that kind of comes out of nowhere. Once Tigerheart leaves Shadow Clan, the book is constantly trying to find a way to remind you that Tigerheart misses Shadow Clan, being deputy, and that his place is truly back home, leading his clan. So this means that every time Tigerheart meets someone new or faces a problem, he has a monologue in his head about how this would be handled if he was back home, or how this new cat he met should try to think more like a warrior. Not only does this get tiring to read about, but this is where the world of warriors and our own world values clash while reading this book. Throughout this book, Tigerheart is meeting new cats and essentially forcing his way of life upon them, which, much to my dismay as a reader, actually turns out to be just what these cats needed to live better, more peaceful lives. This is meant to show Tigerheart in a positive light as he helps guide these cats, but I just really don't care for how this was handled. When Tigerheart joins the healer cats below the church, Tigerheart is determined to make them more like warriors, especially after a new group of strays starts living nearby, led by the stray Fog. Tigerheart quickly threatens the stray leader and acts rashly, disobeying the desires of the healer group and their pseudo-leader Fierce. Instead of Tigerheart's ignorance to their way of life and his single-minded aggression getting them into trouble, it turns out Tigerheart was right about Fog and her group all along, and that Tigerheart was correct in pushing them to be more like clan cats. What I find really disappointing about this is that the healers are a really unique group and have a different way of life that shines as one of Warrior's more interesting non-clan related groups. It's essentially a whole clan of medicine cats living under a church, trying to live peacefully with their neighbors. And the characters inside this group are pretty great as well. Fierce, Spire, and Blaze especially stand out as some strong, likable characters, but the secondary cast is pretty enjoyable as well. I would have preferred to see Tigerheart struggle to learn to live like them, be disciplined when he failed to, and then eventually Fierce and Tigerheart figure out a compromise together about how to deal with the Fog situation. That way, Tigerheart comes away from this journey learning something and growing into more of the leader that the book sets him up to be by the end. In the 3rd act, Tigerheart does reflect on these things, thinking to himself that maybe all these cats he met were more like warriors than he gave them credit for, and that in order for him to be the leader that Shadow Clan needs, he has to be flexible to change and learn to forgive others. But these reflections come after Tigerheart has already left the church cats behind and he spent the whole book being right about everything, so him having a sudden epiphany about how he needs to change his attitude doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Like I said near the beginning though, overall I think Tigerheart Shadow is a pretty good read with just a couple of missteps when it comes to the theming, especially since the theming on Hawkwing's journey was so on point. This book just could have been a little bit stronger, but Overall, it's a solid read with great characters. I love Spire and Blaze so much. I'm so glad Spire's site ended up in StarClan. That's great. I wish he would have made it to the lake, but oh well. I'm glad Blaze is making it to the lake, and I'm excited to see him appear in future books. And Dovewing and Tigerheart's kits all seem to be shaping up to be good characters as well, especially Shadow Kit, who I hope becomes a medicine cat or possibly just a warrior with a strong connection to StarClan like Firestar was. Should be interesting. Also, even though Tigerheart is Tigerstar now, can we all just agree to call him Tigerheart Star, Tigerstar 4, Tigerstar Remix, or just keep calling him Tigerheart or something? I can't do this whole Tigerstar 2 thing, okay? ERIN, why do you do this to us? Hi everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Simmy Speaks. The next episode for sure, crossing my fingers, should be about Hawkwing's journey. I'm still working on the script for that one, but I'm really excited to talk about it. So if you have not read that book yet, get to it, it's really good. And of course I'm still working on episodes of Animation Pilgrimage, so you have that to look forward to every week. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for all your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.